This is James Altucher at TheStreet.com TV here with Jim Cramer, and we've been answering questions posed by Stock Picker members for Jim. And Jim, in the last video, you brought up a dialogue you had with Mark Cuban, and I remember watching when he was on Mad Money, and he basically said, if someone has money to invest, they should invest in themselves.
Right.
And that ties in with what you said in the last video, that if there was no stock market, you would be starting other businesses and thinking about other businesses. Let's talk about this business, Lesser Evil, that you're involved with.
Okay, this is one of these things that starts as a hobby. I would like to have, trying to lose weight, a snack that tastes good, that is frankly not that bad for you. In other words, I'm not going to say it's good for you. And when I look at, say, a Nutrisystems, the stuff I think doesn't taste that good. When I look at some of I had some Weight Watcher product last night, these chocolate, like Crimpets, they tasted terrible to me. So I said, along with some friends, that let's develop them ourselves. Let's just try to find some natural ingredients, kind of so much like Chipotle, and try to come up with ways to be able to make good-tasting food that is not as bad for you, hence the name Lesser Evil. What I didn't realize is that the food business is very, very difficult. A lot of it is to break through in an environment where there are major food conglomerates that can pay slotting fees to supermarkets requires you to do more than just coming up with good-tasting food. You have to really proselytize. You have to really get into the smaller outfits first and hope that there's word of mouth. And you have to spend a lot of money. And I didn't think when we set up Lesser Evil that we would. I also felt that we could do it with just popcorn. But when you go into a store and try to sell them just popcorn, they say, listen, we need a line of food. We can't just give you like 4 feet of longitudinal space, or latitudinal space. That's what they tend to do. And so you better come up with more products. So then we had to come up with another product line. We did popcorn and different flavored popcorn. And now we got to do potato chips because that's what they kind of won. And to come up with a good tasting potato chip required us to hire a really good food lab. There's one food lab that everybody uses, and I urge you to go to the website because it's called Matson Foods, Mattson, www.matsonfoods.com. You'll see all the different things they make. They're pretty much the only food lab in America. We had to contract with them to develop iteration after iteration of good-tasting potato chips that aren't that bad for you.
And how much does that cost? Like, let's say I wanted to start a food company and I had an idea.
You want to start a food company and be successful. And we're, moderate. We're in year 4.
Wow.
But it took us 2 years to come up with a product. Almost any business needs more capital than you need. I could give you that glib answer, but in the particulars of this, you're talking about at least $1.5 million per. I mean, you need
develop the product.
You need $3 million to develop a decent product.
Now, is that because you need to hire people to come up with the ingredients or the chemicals? Like, I don't understand.
You have to hire a food lab because you can't develop it yourself. You have to hire an executive who then pushes it through. You have to hire a sales force, and you have to spend money to go to trade shows. It's the trade shows, the fancy food shows, where all the action occurs. Now, when I started this thing with my partners, the thing that most I thought would happen is you get a food broker, say, here's our food, would you please sell it? That was very naive. The naivete cost us at least $1 million.
Now, why? Because they can't get the shelf space?
Because they don't work for you.
Yeah.
They work for the very big companies. And there's this very close-knit group of people who are involved in making you see what in making the shelf. The supermarket, which you have to kick back money to, the major food conglomerate, which has bought a lot of space, the Coca-Colas, for instance, or the Proctors, and you don't want to be in the natural food space because that's like a terrible ghetto. And you have to have packers who make the product. Your container board costs a lot to have the product. Your freshness matters a great deal. It's a really hard industry, James. And now, especially if you're coming at it from the point of view that you didn't know anything other than the fact that you wanted to make something taste good.
Maybe that's how you have to come at it, though. Or else
I think so. I mean, labors of love. The Street.com was a labor of love where I guess I got lucky because of the time and place. This is one of those labors of love that I don't see a lot of luck.
Well, then again, though, you might be in the right time and place because it is the organic foods demographic trend is happening.
And I would show you sales figures from Whole Foods. It's a private company, obviously. We just landed a very big contract with Best Buy. We've got a test going with Target. I mean, so we're in the door, and we're in the door because we taste good. And there's been good trade press.
Now, Best Buy, I imagine they must have limited shelf space for food. Like, how do you get
at
them
the
to...
front they do it. I don't. They came to the fancy food trade show.
They
We would
wanted
not
to
have
give you a
known
try?
them. Costco came to the fancy food trade show. That is a big account for us.
Now, does it help that you're a Jim Cramer?
No, they don't.
see
No
you
one
at the-
knows.
Oh, yeah?
Oh,
Okay.
no one knows at all. That's really important.
After they
I
watch
don't
this
want
video, they
anybody.
will.
Well, I mean, they shouldn't. They should eat it because it tastes good and doesn't have calories. It's a hobby, and I don't want to get behind it. Like I don't want to make it. I mean, one day it could be commercial enterprise, but it's up to that company. I'm a silent partner, and I don't want to be a vocal partner. I got enough on my plate.
Well, that's a great story. I got to
Thank you.
try this food, actually. This is James
Foods.
Altucher at the Street.com TV with Jim Cramer talking about lesser evil.